So obviously it's been a drama-filled offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers, and well, some of that drama has carried into the season. Also, we're off to a pretty mediocre start, but let me tell you something right now. The last thing, and I mean the absolute last thing this team needs right now is a major Joel Embiid injury. Let's talk about it.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome on into Philly Take with RB, where we constantly talk Philadelphia sports. You know what to do. Drop a like if you do enjoy this content for me. Subscribe if it's your first time seeing me here, and hit that bell so you get all the notifications. We do videos like this, live play-by-plays, live coverage, call-in shows, anything that you can think of, we do here on the channel. So, hey, help your boy out and keep supporting. I appreciate all of it 100%. Today we are back, and I want to discuss some breaking news, or I would call it breaking news, but just some really interesting reports coming out just about an hour or two ago. Also, I want to talk about a quote that was said a month ago today, which I think is having a glaring impact on this team. But first and foremost, before we get into that, let's go ahead and hit a quick piece of news. So according to Keith Pompey, Sixers point guard Shake Milton, who has been out for the entire preseason and for the first 4 games here, is upgraded to questionable for Thursday's game against the Detroit Pistons. So Shake Milton hasn't really gotten any run at all, and, well, he might make his return. He might make his season debut. I still want to see what Furkan can do. I know he had an off night yesterday, but he's kind of been in his groove. So we'll see how Doc slowly incorporates Shake into the team. And also, Joel Embiid with a right knee soreness is also questionable. And, well, that is our talk of the town today. Joel Embiid. I know you guys aren't going to like this, but I'm sorry. I have to keep it real 100% of the time. I'm getting worried. Now, I'm not overly worried, and I'm not talking about what happened last night because, let's be honest, the Sixers were outclassed, and they just got absolutely thrown to the side by the New York Knicks, who played really well. But according to Ramona Shelburne earlier today, shout out to Malika Andrews. She has the new show, NBA Today, does a great job. Ramona went on the show, and this is what she had to say about Joel Embiid. Quote, "He told me after the game in New Orleans he couldn't walk for 2 days." Now, I went and watched that clip. It's about a minute and a half long on Twitter. And, well, pretty much what she said was Joel Embiid is trying to express his leadership. You know, no matter what, Joel's that kind of athlete where he wants to go out there, similar to, you know, when they talked about AI, he wouldn't even, allow the equipment boy to find his shoes. Like, he wanted to go out and play. He was going to do so. Now, when it comes to Joel Embiid, over the first 4 games, we know opening night against the Pelicans, which is what she's referencing, he banged his knee, and he banged it pretty hard. He's been taking some hits to the floor. And last night, it did not look good at all. Okay, Joel, in addition to which we'll talk about, catching the ball really high up near the top of the arc and creating more work for himself, overall, he just didn't look like the same player. You know, he was huffing and puffing down the court. He had his hands on his knees. Now, could that be a sign of weak conditioning? It could. But with how Joel Embiid improved last year and, you know, in terms of his nutrition and his mindset, I'm just not going to attribute a lot of that to his conditioning right now. We'll see how it plays out. I think his knee is bothering him. And after seeing what Ramona said, you know, I'm going to put this out there, okay? The Sixers need to rest Joel Embiid for 2 weeks. They need to shut him down. They need to let him rest because we are 4 games in, ladies and gentlemen. 4 games in, and every single game we've been seeing that there's an impact on his knee, and it's impacting his game, this team. We know his injury history, and, you know, I don't like the feel of this. I don't like this lingering already, and it goes back to an article that was written a month ago today. We will reference it, but let me tell you something. Joel Embiid did not elect to get meniscus surgery on that knee this summer, okay? And usually a meniscus surgery for a partially torn meniscus usually takes about a month, 2 months to recover, maybe 3 on the high end, especially if it's a full tear. But we know in the playoffs, Joel Embiid only partially tore it. That's why he was able to continue to play, thankfully. But it's still there, you know, and it obviously repairs on its own and all that stuff, which is why they said Originally, they didn't know how long it would take or if he could play, just kind of like a pain tolerance thing. But you had how many months? And, I can't even just put it on Joel. How about the Sixers medical staff? You're telling me they evaluated this guy and said nothing was wrong? And I know it was a cause and effect of him banging his knee on opening night, but did we not think that might happen? I mean, this is a physical sport in a way, like Joel's constantly down low, trying to use his body to help get to the line and get some buckets, But anyway, in terms of this article, this was written a month ago, CBS Sports. Sixers Joel Embiid provides an injury update on his knee, reveals potential tweak to his game for upcoming season. This is about to hit multiple things, and it's getting spicy, and I'm not feeling good. So Joel Embiid was quoted in this article a month ago during the training camp and preseason, and he said, quote, "It's been fine. I've just been working out all summer. It's been fine, no problems. I'm getting back to where I was, and I feel pretty good." And then Daryl Morey also commented on the matter, and he said, quote, "I would say on Joel, he's been in the gym. He was in the gym today working on his game. He has a plan with our medical staff, and we feel good about it, and we are not concerned about him medically at all." And, well, look at where we're at now. 4 games in, Joel doesn't look the same. He's struggling, obviously, with his shot, maybe some of the pressure he's putting on that one leg. But overall, it just doesn't look the same. And I really think, because if you go back to his press conference last night after the game, they drilled him with that question. They said, "Is that knee bothering you?" And pretty much he admitted, yes, it is bothering me. But he also said, "I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I have to push through." No, you don't. I don't think Joel should have played against OKC. He shouldn't have played last night, and he shouldn't play tomorrow. And in my personal opinion, he shouldn't play for 2 weeks. I know every game's important, but it is a long season. And these games early in the season, would you rather try to risk him now, or would you rather have him in the long term and hopefully allow him to heal up and be 100% go time when the playoffs come around? What would you rather have? Because I just don't think it's smart at all. You're going to continue to push this guy to his limit through the early part of the season. And obviously, again, we've had some bad games, bad losses, and he's attributed to that as well, in terms of his play. But I really feel like it's affecting him, and I just don't like it. And then you have another guy on your team who's disgruntled and wants out, and then you have young players. It's not a good mesh at all. Now, the other part of this is the fact that Joel is playing, and obviously we can talk about a lot of different things with this team through 4 games. Me, personally, I am disappointed in Doc Rivers thus far. I think he's been doing a very subpar job in terms of coaching and the X's and O's and just the simple concepts of basketball. And obviously we'll be talking about that more in depth when it comes to the near future. However, last night was just 1 game, but I'm seeing the same things recurring, and part of it involves Joel Embiid, and I think it's actually making it worse. Now, here's a quote from that same article 1 month ago, and I feel like this went so far under the radar. I remember bringing it up. This was a quote from Joel Embiid. He said, quote, "This year, I'm thinking about shooting more threes." Embiid added in the midst in a longer quote about Ben Simmons. Quote, "Because that is what is going to help the team. Last year, I thought it helped us because we didn't shoot a lot of threes. People might have different views in that, but I think it goes a long way, so that's something I am going to do." And then Embiid attempted a career-low threes per game last season and converted those attempts at a career-high 37% clip. Now, obviously he's been shooting a lot more. I think he's at like 3 or 4 a game over these first 4 games. But let me tell you something right now. It makes no sense. Now, a lot of people last night wanted to tell me, oh, he's struggling. And, I kept pointing out how he was receiving the ball at the top of the arc and trying to kind of facilitate from there. He's also, taking a lot more threes. I don't think it's smart at all. And for the people that say, oh, well, maybe he's out there because his knee is hurting and he can't really operate down low and, be the normal Joel Embiid we all witness. In my opinion, that's counterintuitive. That's actually making it worse. Why? Because I see him catching the ball up top, and then he's having to put in so much work to try to back down a guy like Mitch Robinson when he does decide to go to the basket, which he also did, go to the line a lot last night. And I know he was 0 for 5. He had like 9 points, all from the line to begin the game. Why? Because he was putting in so much work trying to get to the line. So if you're not having him catch the ball with his back to the basket and, posting up Mitchell Robinson and he's having to do all this extra work, it actually makes it worse. So he should be down there. And it also helps with the spacing of the team. When Embiid catches it down, they got to crash the double or triple team. He's swinging it out to the corner. Now we just have less space. And that just goes to the further concept of how Tyrese Maxey isn't really playing the point guard position for us. And Tobias, sometimes looks out of place. And Seth doesn't get enough touch. There's just so much wrong with this offense from a concept point, which I think is a lot of Doc Rivers and just his inability. But the fact that Joel Embiid literally said he was going to shoot more threes. And is Doc Rivers coaching this team? He just says, okay, he just lets it happen. It makes no sense. Joel Embiid played at an MVP caliber level last year. He finally hit that peak that we were looking for. Why? Because he was so far, used in terms of the post. That is where his bread and butter is. That Joel is unstoppable under the basket. And he just, in my opinion, he kind of came out and said that because the whole 2-5 situation was going on, and he wanted to make it presented in a public manner that I'm willing to adapt for my teammates. I'm willing to change. And honestly, that guy's not here now. That guy is not here. And I know we've talked about him and all this, and in my opinion, he's not going to come back. Honestly, that's how I feel about it. We haven't heard anything about medical evaluation since from the Sixers. I think this is just a publicity stint, and I don't think he's coming back. So Joel needs to adapt his game back to what we saw last year. This offense has no identity through 4 games, and it needs to get a lot better, or else we're going to witness a lot of the outcomes like we saw last night, and we just got absolutely blown away by the Knicks. They just outclassed us, and I'm just not liking it. Doc needs to step up and remind these guys what got us that 1 seed last year, and remind us, how dominant Joel Embiid was and how dominant he can be. You're putting way too much stress on this guy, and now he has a nagging injury. Time to shut him down, time to reevaluate, and no matter who's on the floor, whether we end up making a trade or whatever, we need to fix this right now. We need to fix this right now. Those are just my thoughts. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Give me all yours down below in the comment section. Like always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one, man. Peace.
Perfect.